Good afternoon. Welcome to my live streaming on YouTube. This is actually going to be the first time I've had the opportunity to come to YouTube to screen live, and I'm doing it because of a charitable purpose. We've established or created a charity back in the Gambia called Fonyi Agency for Rural Development. And tomorrow, that agency will be launched live on YouTube streaming, live on Facebook, and live on one of the pages, Fonya Diaspora pages. Main reason we created the agency is to look after people who, unfortunately, because of their background or the environment they live in, or the lack of opportunities, lack of jobs, lack of clean drinking water, reliable water, that is, lack of energy, and lack of support to produce food that they can consume themselves. We've decided to set up this agency to be able to be that helping hand, that safety net, or sometimes we will be that little push or even a little kick that people need to be able to start something for themselves, something they can live on, and something that can sustain their livelihoods. So we set up an agency called FARD. FARD is short for Fonyi Agency for Rural Development. We set it up so it can operate in rural Gambia. Although it says Fonyi Agency, we're looking at long term operating beyond the boundaries of Fonyi. So if you're tuning in for the first time, Fonyi is one region in the Gambia. Gambia's got administrative regions, um, about 8 administrative regions in terms of local government. But we've also got regions which are divided due to some geopolitical reasons. I think some of these regions naturally different anyway, because people from these regions tend to have a lot, almost everything in common. And then if you go beyond a certain boundary, you start realizing that the culture is slightly different. And then you go to another region, as soon as you go past the boundary, you realize the culture is different too. So we set this up so people can come together. So it's not so much us taking what we have and giving it to people to spoon feed people. No, we decided we're going to set up a different agency. One is an agency that will help people create for themselves, stand on their own feet, depend on themselves, and then create that environment, the atmosphere where they can depend on themselves for a long time, but also go beyond depending on themselves to support other people. This is what we're trying to do. It's about people creating something that they can live off of for a long time. And if possible, if they find that they've sustained themselves and they're able to stretch a bit further, they can also start looking after other people. And this is what we're trying to do. It's not us taking what we have and going home and giving it to people so they can eat from it. We're not spoon feeding. We're not going to provide that trough. We're not a bed full of roses. We're that helping hand, that advice, that kick, anything that we can do to ensure people can create livelihoods for themselves, something that they can depend on, something that might even move beyond depending on it themselves. They can move into full productivity where they can produce stuff so other people can depend on it. They can feed people, they can look after people in terms of health, education, many other things. So we set the agency, which is going to be Fonya White. But with a little bit of luck, we'll go beyond Fonya and we'll look after other people in the country. However, because we haven't started operating yet, we're going to cut our quotes according to our size. We don't want to try something that will not last. We want to start crawling. From crawling, we start walking. From walking, we start running. From running, we can make it the whole venture commercial. We can start looking after people. We can start looking at other areas that we might be able to get involved in. Might even turn into full-blown investment. If we get to that stage, that's the stage we would say, okay, we've succeeded in our own region, which is the Fonya region. Now we want to export our expertise. Our model has worked in Fonyi. Let's export that model to other parts of the country. That's what we want to do. And not just the country, because some of these charities that have gone worldwide, they just started as small charities. Never in a million years did they think we're going to be covering 100 countries across the world. But today, those charities have covered so many countries, and they're helping people from all regions of this world. So Fonyi Agency for Rural Development will start with its humble beginnings in Fonyi and start looking after people. But we want it to be one professional charity agency that looks after everyone else. And at some point, obviously, export it to other regions of the Gambia and possibly export it to Senegal and possibly go beyond that. If we become very, very successful, which I think we will become, if people come together and work together and do stuff, knowing fully well they're in there to volunteer. The mistake people make with African charities, I would say Gambia, because that's the experience I have, is thinking that they're going to come into a charity in order to earn something out of it. Working in a charity in administrative roles can get paid sometimes, but not all administrative roles get paid in charity. Sometimes it's the free time you have, you dedicate it to helping the other person. Sometimes the expertise, the skills you have, or the surplus resources you have, material you have, you give it to a charity so that somebody else can benefit. What's rubbish to you or trash to you might become treasure to somebody else. So we've got to be able to think, okay, I've got 10 of these and I don't need them. I wanted 5 at the beginning, now I've got 10. Who is around me that I can give the extra 5 to, or the extra 3 to, and keep 2 as a backup cover for me? It really is that simple. Sacrifice. Charity is about putting in your spare time or your spare resources or other things. But if you can dedicate and put 100% full time, why not? Nobody's going to complain that somebody's been helping them a lot or putting their full time into helping somebody or helping a community. So this is basically what we're trying to do tomorrow. We're launching this big charity called FARD, which is going to be looking after the interest of Fonyi people in Fonyi, in the Gambia. We might even extend it to people from Fonyi in the diaspora. We already have one that's set up in the diaspora called Fonyi UK Development Association that will primarily look after Fonyi people in the diaspora. But we will try and create a link that links it to FARD in the Gambia, if possible, if that's allowed constitutionally, to be able to work hand in hand together, because our Fonyi UK Development Association might then think, actually, FARD is doing something good, the same direction we wanted to go, but we don't have bodies and expertise on the ground. So how can we affiliate FARD with FUDA? FUDA, Fonyi UK Development Association, how can we affiliate it so we can work together? This is not one taking something from the other. This is not one trying to outsmart the other. This is us trying to make sure something works. If we work together as a team, as one joint unit, we will be strong, we will be powerful. And there's no way we will have the intention of working together to better people's life and fail as a team. The only time it will fail if 1 or 2 people branch out and start doing things that are not within the constitution of charities. Remember, charities have been set up for charitable purposes. You can only use charities to engage in charitable purposes. You can't come into a charity and have vested interest. You want to change things, you want to move things, you want to do things in accordance or contrary to what the Constitution says. Everything you do should be in accordance with charitable purposes as prescribed by the Constitution. You cannot go beyond what the Constitution tells you to do. Okay? So charity, charitable purposes. If you've got anything else that you want to do that's not charitable, then obviously you shouldn't get involved at all. So this is what we're trying to do tomorrow. That'll be a big launch, and we'll come here live at 7 p.m. UK time or GMT. We will be able to discuss certain things with people. Okay, and we want to show the culture, that colorful, that vibrant, that's brilliant, that flamboyant African culture, Fonyi culture. That should be, at this stage, being commercialized. It should have been commercialized and taken beyond the borders of Fonyi. I think in the Gambia, in the context of culture, almost everyone in the Gambia and Senegal knows the Jola culture. But Fonyi is not just the Jola culture. This is why I mentioned it, so people can have a good idea as to what Fonyi is like. Fonyi has got all ethnicities that exist in the Gambia. We have the Jolas, we have the Mandinkas, we have the Wolofs, we have the Seres, we have the Balantas, we have the Sarahules, we have the Manjagos, we even have Papels. Okay, Papel, I don't know what Papel is an ethnicity of itself, or it's a branch of certain ethnicities in Guinea or whichever country they come from. Okay, it might be an offshoot, it might be Creole, who knows? But we're more than happy to live in this inclusive community called Fonyi. We want to be diverse. We want to look after ourselves. We want to celebrate our diversity. The beauty of Fonyi's diversity is immeasurable. We have people from all backgrounds, but that's the kind of beauty we want to tap into. That's the kind of diversity we want to bring the strength out of. So if you hear about Fonyi, just stop thinking, oh, Fonyi is all about Jolas. No, yes, the Jolas are the majority in Fonyi. But it's not just about Jolas. There are other tribes. There are people that we respect. Growing up, we shared everything with these people. Okay, we were equal. Nobody looked at the other person as a royal and the other as a commoner. Okay, there's no slavery. Nobody's serving the other. We celebrated everything together beautifully, equally, and we enjoyed it. No segregation. Nobody was ostracized. Nobody at all was ostracized in Fonyi. We were all equal. And that's what we want to bring out. We want people to come together and work for themselves. But FARD is going to be able to create that environment, create the opportunity to push, to put a little bit of resources in there so that people can set up first. People can set foundations. Once those foundations are set, it will then depend on how determined, how driven we are to be able to go to the next step, which is implementation of one of our core objectives. And one of those is ensuring that there's clean and reliable drinking water in the entire Fonyi. And how do we do that? We might end up drilling boreholes. We might end up having ventures with NAWEC, National Water and Electricity Company in the Gambia. It's called NAWEC. It's named NAWEC. NAWEC is an abbreviation or short for National Water and Electricity Company. Okay, so we might do partnerships with them. We might decide actually borehole digging might be better in terms of helping the community, in terms of sustainability, in terms of keeping the environment clean and green. But we might think, actually, that's not going to be sufficient. That's not going to be enough. Let's have a partnership with NAWEC or with any other energy company or investors. So FARD is open. We would like to partner with agencies across the world who do the same. Water supply, food self-sufficiency. It will be very important. Education, the scholarship element of it, which will probably be the first things we'll look at anyway. The scholarship element. We want to be able to get kids in Fonyi to go to school without dropping out due to funding. So please, if you're watching this or if you know anyone that does scholarships for deprived communities, please let me know. Okay, vulnerable people, poor communities. We would like people to be able to help out to pay the tuition fees of these students, sometimes subsistence, food, and accommodation. We would like to extend this help to university level. But right now, we haven't got that flexibility financially or that base financially to be able to fund people to university level. But we can help in terms of primary education, upper basic, lower basic or upper basic education, and senior secondary. We should be able to do that. That shouldn't cost us too much. However, we cannot do it without your help. So we want everyone to come on board. This is not just about Fonyi. Even if you're from somewhere outside of Fonyi, but you think you can help the development of Fonyi, because the development of Fonyi might extend to developing the Gambia. If Fonyi is developed, Gambia is developed. You never know which kid from Fonyi will turn up one day or will grow up into being somebody who will create something significant, positively significant for the Gambia, for Africa, for the world. So if you're outside of the Gambia, if you're in the United Kingdom, United States, or mainland Europe, or in Asia, or in Latin America, or even in Africa, other countries, and you can help us build a foundation for Fonyi people, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to partner with people. We'll be more than happy to receive sponsorship. We'll be more than happy to talk to people regardless of what offer they have. At least we'll listen. If the offer is good, we'll venture. If it's not good, we'll see if we can improve it. If we cannot improve it and we think it's counterproductive, we will say no to it. Okay? But any help is good. No one is going to say no to help. Thank you very much for tuning in. So I'm introducing you, but I'll be back here, this channel, tomorrow at 7 p.m., 1900 GMT. So please make sure you tune in. We're going to go live. You can see Gambian culture. You can see Fonyi culture. You can see a lot of things will be on display tomorrow. And some of that is just a fraction of what we'll have live on the ground in the Gambia. That's going to be a full-blown cultural extravaganza, massive one. It's going to be big in Buyam. So the dates for the launch of FARD, which is basically going to be in the form of a festival where all cultures across Fonyi will be performing, will be the 28th, 29th, and 30th of December in the Gambia in Buyam. So 28th, 29th, and 30th of December 2018 is the big launch of FARD in the form of a festival. That festival is going to be a fundraising activity. The funds we raise from that will become the starting balance of the Fonyi Agency for Rural Development. We're confident we'll be able to raise enough to be able to kick in the scholarship element and maybe the water supply and farming. We're confident we'll be able to raise enough. But you know what? It's never enough, actually. We'll be able to raise some capital to be able to start the charity running. It's never enough. So whatever you have that you can contribute doesn't have to be cash. It can be kind. It can be expertise. It can be anything that will be able to advance the development of Fonyi. You're more than welcome. So we'll be appealing. In fact, in the long run, we'll be applying to all these partner agencies or potential partners in the world and see if they can step in to help our people. Thank you. I intended to stay for 15 minutes. It's 17 minutes now. This is just an introduction. But tomorrow, tune in at 7 to see an insight of Gambian culture. Brilliant, bright, flamboyant, fun. You will love it. Thank you. Bye.